Welcome back to another episode of Insights with Experts, where we aim to encourage and foster discussion, learning, and creating an informed global community. To view this and other interviews in detail, head over to theseer.org, linked in the description. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to our channel for constant updates. Enjoy the episode.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Insights with Experts. Joining us here today, we are very fortunate to have Dr. Vincent. Now, Vincent here with us, we're very lucky to have him because he is the founder of Renovatio, a company currently looking into the work of Apple's supplement products and various things around there. In addition, he has done numerous things over his life, specifically in the work of public speaking, podcast, media, and so on.
I believe that if you can call it a success or achievements that I have now and where I am today, although I worked really, really hard for that, I also cannot forget the roles and the impacts and the significant factors that was contributed by everybody in the form of formal educators like teachers and lecturers, but also from people that I came across through networking, to hanging out, and all of these little nuggets of wisdoms that I learned from them. I apply it whenever possible and whenever appropriate in my life, be it on a daily basis or through my career pathway.
As I said, I didn't want to spoil too much at the start about what you do. So I'd just like to ask you now, can you get an overview of your journey?
I think it all started back in 2008 when I decided that I wanted to study further into research and into scientific exploration. And I felt that at the time, and no disrespect to the country that I was born in or the institution that I was studying at that time, but at that time I felt that I've achieved what I could achieve being in that current environment. So I felt that I wanted to branch out, I wanted to explore more. I learned a lot from what I see, from what I listen, from what I do. I learned a lot, and that actually propelled my study beyond where I was at that time. In June 2008, I came to Australia. I arrived in Australia, and I did my Bachelor of Applied Science in Food Technology and Human Nutrition, which then go into a research project. I got really, really interested with the topic, and the topic was phenolic antioxidants. And it was really something that challenged me at that time, because the whole scientific community in the world, they were in agreement that phenolic antioxidants were like the holy grail of antioxidant. However, in the past 80 years of research, nobody could crack the mystery of how to make these antioxidants, these good substances, available for our body to use. I remember when I first did my experiment, somebody told me that Vincent, maybe you really wanted to change course, because if you follow through this path, you probably will never finish your PhD. And one of the advantages of being young is that I was stubborn, and I kept on doing what I was doing. And in 2012, I discovered this technology, which the University of Newcastle, Australia, helped me to patent it, which was a very, very smart move. And fast forward to 2015, I founded Renovatio. And the reason why I named it Renovatio, I know it's very hard to pronounce, let alone to spell, but there is a little bit of story behind that. So in 2012, when I went back to Indonesia, I actually was very sad because I saw my grandma, and my grandma was basically wheelchair bound because she had a really severe rheumatoid arthritis on her knees. My grandma used to be a dancer, a ballroom dancer, and used to be a teacher. So just imagine, from someone who was very active, and all of a sudden she couldn't do anything. And it was really bad, not only for her physical well-being, but also for her mental well-being. At that time, I said to my grandma, I said that, hey, I had this substance that I have been playing with in the lab. It has not been proven that it will work. However, what I can guarantee to you that it will not kill you. Do you want to try it? And then my grandma said, okay, let me try it. 3 months later, she and my grandpa visited us, me and my sister, in Sydney, and she was walking a distance probably around 4 to 5 kilometers from Paddy's Market, Haymarket, all the way to the Circular Quay, the Sydney Opera House. And my grandma told me at the time that, maybe people with similar cultural background with me can understand this. In my culture, usually when you get your first proper job, you give either a red envelope or you invite your parents or grandparents to a really nice dinner to show that, hey, I've done quite well in my career. This is my first proper pay, and I'm treating you to a nice dinner, or I'm giving you a red envelope. And my grandma told me at that time, I remember it vividly. My grandma told me that, Vincent, you don't have to do that anymore, because you have given me something that is much more valuable, much more special, because you have given me my life back. And that's the reason why I named my company Renovatio, because Renovatio in Latin means a new life. And my mission when I founded this company is to give people a new life in the way that they can be happier and healthier.
When does stubborn become arrogant? And how can we stay in those lines? How can we stay to our vision?
I think, although I use the word stubborn a few times, it is basically a word, for lack of a better word, that is the term that I use to encapsulate the attitude that I have towards my dream. But to elaborate a little bit more about the word stubborn, I really remember growing up, I felt that, because I mean, one of the things that I feel that I missed out was that had I gone to high school, probably now I would be like the coolest person ever, because geek is in trend now. When I was growing up, when I was in high school, being a geek is not so much of a popular thing to do. But I remember coming home once from school, and my mom could see that I was distraught, and my mom could see that I had a bad day. And I told her about some of the experience that I had on that day at school. And then my mom said that, look, not everyone can understand what you want. Not everyone can understand your dream. But then again, you can't blame people, because it is not their job to understand your dream. As long as you understand it, then it's okay, because it is your job. When people start to get arrogant, that is the starting point where they will fail. Because when you get arrogant, you refuse to learn. And when you refuse to learn, you cannot grow. And when you cannot grow, other people will surpass you.
How could potentially young entrepreneurs or people just starting out do the exact same effect? How can they make sure that whatever the service, whatever the good is that they actually have out there, how can they make sure that people look at it in a good light?
That's a really great question. Actually, I've done a lot of interviews. Nobody has ever asked me that. So thank you for that. And I will answer that question in two parts. The first part is that I'm going to answer you from from the emotional as well as from philosophical point of view. I think one of the strengths that I have is that I'm fiercely independent, in the way that not in the way that I don't need anyone, because obviously it takes a village to build all of this, but I'm independent in the way that I will do my best to make you understand. I will do my best to be liked by you. But at the end of the day, if you don't like me, I'm fine, because I like me. I am my own best friend. If you want to change something, if you want to be the change, you have to make sure that you are ready for pushback. You're ready for skepticism. You're ready to answer all of these questions that people may ask you, or people will ask you, because they are being faced with something new, something that they didn't know before. In terms of convincing people or general public with our product and invention, I think I have to credit this to the media. The media really helped me in terms of communicating this. I always feel that they help to bring my creation into the spotlight. When after that, I think what really helped us is that the product works.
How have you been able to leverage those speaking skills which you have? How have you been able to leverage that and sort of use that for the entrepreneurship side of things, for the research side of things, for the other aspects of your life?
I have not always been be able to speak in front of people. I used to dread going to school on the day that you have to give presentation and public speaking. However, I do believe that everybody has a voice, and I have been very, very fortunate to have people in my life and mentors in my life who affirm that voice. We live in a world where communication is key, be it through your Instagram post, be it through your Instagram stories, Snapchat, TikTok, or through public speaking, because we have to take advantage of this social media in terms of communicating what we want to achieve, in terms of empowering people, in terms of engaging with people.
Welcome back to another episode of Insights with Experts, where we aim to encourage and foster discussion, learning, and creating an informed global community. To view this and other interviews in detail, head over to theseer.org, linked in the description. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to our channel for constant updates. Enjoy the episode.
So I was like a bit interested in like when you said that you were like a student and you were somewhat in like a position that many students would face right now. You were say you were interested in science, you were unsure whether to do research, and in the end, how did you manage to like get on with it? How did you manage to decide, okay, in the end, you're gonna do this and like to be where you are right now? How did you go through like what help did you get, and like what were the pathways that you took that maybe contributed to your success?
I wish I have a wisdom to share with you, or a good story to share to answer that story. However, if we're being honest, the reason why I decided to try into the research world is because I had 1 year to spare, or 1 year to waste. But I gave it a go, and I was so lucky because I fell in love with it. I got really possessive in terms of the project, and I didn't want to pass it on to the next one. So I ended up refusing a job and accepting a PhD scholarship. Since you mentioned about students, before I started my company, I actually lecture a little bit as well and tutor a little bit. I didn't have a lot of friends because friends cost money. I didn't go out all that often because, again, that costs money. It was about the focus. I want to study. I want to get as much as possible from my time here. I would be the person who would follow the lecturers back to their office just to get all these informations that maybe he or she didn't share in the classroom.
What were those valuable skills or like lessons that you learned that researching and studying science that has helped you to become like a successful entrepreneur?
Two things. The first one is your ability to take no for answer, and your ability to accept failure. And the second thing that I feel benefits me the most, I have to say, it would be the ability to stay awake. I mean, one of my good friends, she's a lawyer, and my other good friend, she's an accountant. We all said, oh, you know, our work requires us to be able to burn the midnight oil, to really, really work until late and stuff like that. Wake up really, really early, but nothing beats having to stay in the lab for like 3 days.
So in your journey of studying and doing research and founding and propelling Renovatio, was there anything that you wish you would have done differently?
It's very hard to answer that question because hindsight is 2020. So obviously now it will be very easy for me and tempting for me to say that I wouldn't waste so much time in doing this, or I wouldn't waste so much time in doing that, because now I know. However, I would probably say that I think I would be less reluctant to ask for help. It would have saved me a lot of times in terms of trying to figure out myself.
So how would you like ask for help without sounding that you're needy?
Telling your story and be honest with who you are and what you want to achieve helps a lot, because people might not understand the science and people might not understand the product, but people understood what I'm trying to achieve.
Is if you could leave young people just one piece of advice, what would that one piece of advice actually be?
So my one piece of advice would be, while it is good to be an important person, it is much more important to be a good person. And I firmly believe that.
Thanks for listening in. This podcast has been brought to you by Desare, a platform designed to bridge the gap between the youth and professionals. You can read more about us at desare.org, and you can also check out the section titled Insights with Experts, where you can submit your questions that you might have for future experts and industries that you would like to learn more about. And you can also refer in any experts that you might know yourself.